She walked out of the house slowly, writhing in pain, bent over and unable to straighten up. Her clothes were worn, drab and wet. Yet she walked into the street and joined the thick crowd clamoring for something or someone ahead. The crowd was a noisy and unfriendly sea of bodies, surging forward with a desperate energy. Shouts of "Let me through" and "I must see him" filled the air. A young man with tears streaming down his face reached out, his voice choked with emotion. "Just a glimpse of him. That's all I want." Everyone was pushing and shoving, trying to get over the next person to make their way to the front. The woman was jostled and thrown about by the force of the crowd, her frail body struggling to stay upright. "He's here. The healer," someone cried out. Someone important was ahead, and everyone wanted to see or touch him. The sickly bent-over woman also wanted to see and touch him. Imagine being a ghost for 12 years. For 12 long years, a woman lived in the shadows, banished by an unending flow of blood. She was considered unclean, which meant she couldn't go to the temple, couldn't join her friends at gatherings, and couldn't even feel the simple, comforting touch of a loved one. Every single day was a stark reminder of her isolation. She was an outcast in her own town, invisible to the very people who once called her family. She had spent everything she had on doctors, but each visit only left her sicker and poorer. Her hope had worn down to a single, fragile thread. But then, whispers of a man named Jesus reached her. He was passing through the city, surrounded by a massive, chaotic crowd, all pressing in on him. She moved through the sea of people like a phantom, her desperation making her invisible.
"If I may touch but his clothes," she whispered to herself.
"I shall be whole."
No long prayer, no demand, just faith. She did not push to be seen. She did not shout to be acknowledged. Weak from years of suffering, she slipped into the crowd from behind, careful not to draw attention because attention could mean rejection. And then, with trembling fingers, she reached. She touched the hem of his garment, and straightway the fountain of her blood was dried up, and she felt in her body that she was healed of that plague. Immediately, instantly, something changed. What 12 years could not fix. One moment of faith resolved. The bleeding stopped. Strength returned. Life flowed where sickness once remained. She felt it not emotionally, but physically. Her body knew the plague was gone, but Jesus stopped. And Jesus, immediately knowing in himself that virtue had gone out of him, turned him about in the crowd and said, "Who touched my clothes?" The disciples were confused. But Jesus was not asking about accidental contact. He was responding to intentional faith. He looked around. And then she knew this moment could not stay hidden. But the woman, fearing and trembling, knowing what was done in her, came and fell down before him, and told him all the truth. Fear gripped her. Not because she was still sick, but because she had been seen. She fell before him and told her whole story. And Jesus did not rebuke her. He did not shame her. Instead, he spoke words she may not have heard spoken over her in 12 years. "Daughter, thy faith hath made thee whole. Go in peace, and be whole of thy plague." Daughter. Not outcast. Not unclean. Not forgotten. Her healing was not just physical, it was complete. Her faith had restored her body, her identity, and her place among God's people. She came desperate. She left whole. And all it took was one touch of faith.
For the woman in this story, the decision to touch Jesus was not made in the street. It was not born in the noise of the crowd. It began quietly, while she was still in her house. Before she ever saw the multitude, she had already settled the matter in her heart. She had lived 12 years with disappointment, 12 years of unanswered hopes, and yet on that day she resolved within herself, "Today I will make contact with Jesus."
That inner decision is important, because what carried her through the crowd was not physical strength. A woman weakened by years of blood loss could not have forced her way forward by muscle or energy alone. What moved her was purpose. What sustained her was conviction. She pushed because something inside her was stronger than what surrounded her.
And here is where the lesson speaks to us. How many times have we stood at the edge of a crowd watching others press in and quietly told ourselves, "This is not for me"? How often have we allowed the size of the multitude to convince us that access is reserved for someone else? But the crowd was not her greatest obstacle. She was also pressing against the law that had labeled her unclean. Every step she took challenged a system that said she did not belong there. Yet she pressed on because she was not merely seeking relief, she was seeking wholeness. And that is the difference. Healing changes a condition. Wholeness restores identity.
So today, do not give up. Do not let the crowd, the labels, the past, or the rules that have boxed you in determine how close you can get to Jesus. Like this woman, purpose it in your heart. Push against what tries to keep you down and out. And when you do, touch Jesus, because one touch of faith is still enough to make you whole.
If you found this helpful, subscribe and stay tuned for more content on logos and life.